Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are heading way out, right to the far eastern edge of Tokyo. We're talking about Katsushika Ward,
Hmm.
specifically a district called Kanamachi. And this isn't just some quiet commuter town anymore.
No, not really.
You've got these huge, almost futuristic redevelopment projects popping up, but then, right next door, you find these deep anchors to the past. We're talking Tokugawa shogunate history right on the riverbanks.
That's exactly the tension that makes Kanamachi so interesting. It's right there on the Edogawa River, which, historically, made it this vital pivot point, between Old Edo Tokyo now and Chiba Prefecture.
Right.
And the development you mentioned, it's significant. Things like the Cross Kanamachi complex, that's got a 40-story apartment tower.
Wow.
And the RRA Katsushika Kanamachi shopping center, too. So our mission today really is to dig into those historical roots, the ones that defined the shogun's power here,
Yeah.
and set them against the really specific, kind of quirky local spots that define the place now.
Okay, let's definitely start with the history then, because this place was basically designed for, well, surveillance, wasn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
It had the Kanamachi Matsudo Sekisho, the checkpoint, set up way back around 1600.
Right, by Tokugawa Ieyasu himself.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't just, collecting tolls. It was a serious military choke point. It guarded the ferry crossing on the Mito-Kaido Road.
Which was a key route out of Edo.
A very key route. And the political tension there was just immense. Ieyasu had just taken power, right? He needed total control over who and what was going in and out of his capital, Iei.
And they had that infamous rule.
Ah, yes. The Iri Depot Diona.
Firearms in, women out. That's the one.
Exactly. And sounds simple, but it did two critical things. First, control weapons coming into Edo, obviously preventing military buildup.
Makes sense.
But maybe even more critical was controlling the regional lords, the daimyo, their wives, their kids. They were essentially kept as hostages in Edo.
Right, the Senkin Kustai system.
Precisely. So the strict rule about women not leaving Edo, that made sure those aristocratic hostages couldn't just run back home. It was a way to just, neutralize the threat of rebellion before it even started. That checkpoint was psychological control as much as a physical gate.
That's pretty intense political control. But, okay, even with all that strictness, the government kind of had to bend a little for local life, right? That brings us to the Yagiri no Watashi, the ferry.
It's amazing, really. It's still there. It's the only farmer's ferry still operating on the Edogawa between Tokyo and Chiba.
Still operating. How does it even move?
Just simple oars, hand-powered.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even with the checkpoint watching everything official, they let this little local ferry run, just for the farmers.
Yeah, it shows that practical side, doesn't it? Balancing that tight political control with, well, letting local people get on with their lives, get their produce across the river. And, for anyone who knows Japanese cinema.
Oh, yeah, the Otoko Watsurayo films. I
Yeah.
guess makes sense.
Yeah, that ferry is iconic because of those movies. Exactly. Deeply recognizable. Now, the Tokugawa influence wasn't just about checkpoints. It also touched local culture, elevated it. Take Kasai Shrine.
Okay, that was much older, right? Founded back in 1185.
Way back. And it was hugely prestigious. It was the main regional shrine, the Tsuchinju, for 33 different areas around Kasai. A big deal.
And Ieyasu himself visited this one, too.
He did. And apparently he was really impressed by the local festival music he heard there, the Matsuri Bayashi.
So impressed he gave them a reward.
Yep, gave him rice, an official seal of approval, the works. And that praise, coming from the shogun himself, it just transformed this local music.
How so?
Well, it went from being just, local festival tunes to becoming this regional standard. It's now seen as the actual origin point for the main festival music style in the whole Kanto region, the Kasai Bayashi. A nod from the top guy turned a local thing into, a cultural benchmark.
Okay, so political favor was huge. And there's another example of that nearby, right? At a Buddhist temple.
Kozoji Temple, also very old, founded 1222, connected to the Buddhist figure Shinren Shonin.
But the Tokugawa connection came later.
Much later. In 1587, Ieyasu was inspecting the Kanto region, and he actually stayed overnight at Kozoji. It served as a key stopover point for him.
And that one night had lasting consequences.
Oh, absolutely. Because of that stay, the temple earned this incredible privilege. They were allowed to display the Mitsuha-ai.
The Tokugawa family crest, the 3 hollyhock leaves.
That's the one. You can see it right there on their roof tiles, on the gates. It was a massive visible sign of the shogun's personal favor.
Wow. So for a local temple, that meant what? Status? Protection?
All of the above. Huge status, probably implied protection from the government, and just this permanent historical weight that set it apart from almost any other temple nearby. It wasn't just decoration, it was like a political shield.
It really shows how plugged in Kanamachi was to the center of power. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Away from state politics towards the more hyperlocal faith, the thing Kanamachi might be most famous for today.
Ah, you must mean the Shibori Jizo, the bound Jizo.
Katmanzoin Temple.
Yeah. Tell us the story there. It's pretty wild.
It is. It mixes faith with, like, courtroom drama. The legend involves the famous Edo magistrate, Shoka Echizen no Kami.
Okay.
So the story goes, a shopkeeper's cloth was stolen near where this Jizo statue stood. Shoka declared that since the Jizo saw the crime and did nothing, the statue itself was negligent.
He blamed the statue.
He did. He ordered the Jizo to be bound with ropes and physically dragged to his office to, quote, testify.
Wait, he actually put a statue on trial? Was he serious or was it just theater?
Oh, it's brilliant theater. Total PR genius. The whole spectacle drew a huge crowd. People were outraged or amused, and apparently the real thief, seeing all this fuss over the Jizo he disrespected, felt so guilty he confessed right then and there.
That's amazing. And people still buying the Jizo today.
They do. They tie ropes around it when they make a wish. Could be for anything, finding something lost, passing an exam, finding love, preventing theft. You know, it makes a prayer feel really tangible, physical. And what happens to all those ropes? Do they just stay there forever?
No, there's a special ceremony. On December 31st, New Year's Eve, they untie all the ropes from the entire year. It symbolizes letting go of the past year's troubles and hopefully the fulfillment of all those wishes tied up there.
It's a lovely ritual. And naturally, where there's a famous spiritual spot.
There's usually a good sweet shop nearby.
Exactly. Just a couple of minutes from JR Kanamachi Station, there's Ebisu Seika Honten, famous for its mangan dorayaki.
The full wish dorayaki, directly named, of course, for the bound Jizo nearby.
Right. But it's not just the name. The dorayaki itself is special.
It really is. They use these particular beans from Hokkaido called kaori beans. And the way they're grown is fascinating. They use aged fish waste and bonito flakes as fertilizer.
Fish waste. For beans that go into a sweet pancake, that sounds different.
It sounds weird, I know. But apparently it gives the red bean paste this incredibly smooth texture and a really nuanced flavor that's much less sweet than your typical dorayaki filling. And then right in the middle, boom, a big whole chestnut. It's just a perfect little package of local history, faith, and some pretty clever farming.
Okay, so we've got the deep history, the unique faith. Now let's talk about Kanamachi today. Because like we said at the start, it's all about these contrasts. You've got the big, shiny redevelopment.
Yeah, the Cross Kanamachi Tower, the Amagayas Mall. It definitely signals a change, maybe a move upscale.
But right alongside that.
Right alongside, you still got this powerful Shibamachi vibe. You know, that old downtown Tokyo feeling. Narrow streets, little local shops, the smell of grilling from tiny restaurants. It's still very much there.
And you can really feel that in places like the Kanamachi Sakadori shopping street, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
That street is so narrow, maybe one car can just squeeze through.
Here.
But it's packed with atmosphere. It's mostly become this retro drinking alley now.
Lined with little old-school izakayas like Yokchen and Motoyaki Machen.
Exactly, those kinds of places. Tiny, maybe a bit rough around the edges, but full of character. The whole strip feels like a bit of a time warp back to the show era.
And that retro feel extends to places like Restaurant and Cafe Bonjour, founded in '79.
Bonjour. It calls itself a cafe, but it's really a classic kiss it in, those traditional coffee shops. But this one is basically the neighborhood's go-to full restaurant. The menu is huge.
And the decor is something else I read. Route 66 signs mixed with Ferrari models.
Yeah, it's wonderfully eclectic. Apparently the owners travel a lot and they just bring stuff back. But the menu is where it gets really fun. They do classic siphon coffee, sure.
Yeah.
But also, 8 different kinds of hamburgers.
Hamburgers, like salt lemon or Asian style?
Yep, but here's the kicker. They don't serve them on a bun.
No bun. How do you eat it?
It comes as a Japanese set meal. Hamburger patty on a plate with rice, miso soup, pickles. You eat it with a fork.
Okay, that's perfectly weird. A French name, Route 66 decor, siphon coffee, and fork and rice hamburgers. That kind of sums up Kanamachi's vibe, doesn't it?
It really does. That blend of local history, global influences, and just delightfully quirky choices. And that quirkiness carries into newer places, too. The ones attracting maybe a younger, more niche crowd.
Like GORA, the cake and wine place.
Exactly. You wouldn't necessarily expect to find a spot focused on pairing, say, Basque cheesecake or strawberry gorgonzola cheesecake.
Strawberry gorgonzola. Wow.
Right, pairing that with specific fruit-forward wines tucked away in this old Shidamashi district. But there it is, very specialized.
And then there's Urchin, the vintage clothing store.
Yeah, another niche spot. It's deliberately off the main drag. The owner seems really focused on curating very specific, sometimes rare vintage finds. Like the sources mentioned a 1998 Maison Ikoku t-shirt.
Okay, so definitely not mainstream fashion. Very particular taste.
Very particular. It's about hyper-local quality and curation, not mass appeal.
And one more modern spot that sounds really unique, Tabemono to Nichiyouhin WAO.
Ah, WAO. Yeah, it's a beautiful sort of natural modern cafe, focuses on handmade seasonal cakes, tarts, that kind of thing. Looks very peaceful.
But there's a rule, right?
There is, or at least there was when our sources covered it. It was known for its atmosphere of silence. Like, quiet contemplation was part of the experience. And it was reservation only, too.
A silent, reservation-only cake shop. That's quite the contrast to the noisy Showa-era drinking street just blocks away.
Isn't it? It perfectly captures that complexity of Kanamachi right now. This tiny, tranquil, controlled space for quiet reflection and cake, existing right next to the loud, boisterous history.
So yeah, looking at the whole picture, Kanamachi is just fascinating because of these incredible layers. You've got the heavy political hand of the Tokugawa shogunate literally shaping the landscape.
Which then gives way to these century-old shrines and temples that became deeply embedded in local life and culture.
It feels like every corner there tells some kind of story, whether it's the shogun's crest on a roof tile or that simple farmer's ferry still crossing the river.
Or, yeah, finding a high-end cheesecake and wine bar next to an old yakitori joint. Or finding that rare anime t-shirt from '98. It proves Kanamachi is so much more than just new apartment buildings.
Absolutely. It feels like a place where that deep tradition, that history, is actually fueling these new, very specific, very local specialty shops. It's not one erasing the other. They're sort of coexisting.
In a really dynamic way.
Okay, so we talked about the Shibari Jizo at Nanzoin Temple, where you tie a rope around the statue to make a wish, and all those wishes get untied together on New Year's Eve. Now that you've heard about Kanamachi's deep past and its very specialized present, think about this. If you were to visit, what single unique destination would you choose to bind your attention to first? Would it be the Showa retro drinking street, that unexpected cheesecake and wine spot, or maybe that silent contemplative cafe? Something to ponder until our next deep dive.